Unfortunately, art scamming and people passing off other people's work or generative AI as their own is nothing new in the art community. Let's delve into a bunch of these people and just snoop around a little bit. Now, again, please don't send hate to any parties involved. This is the first post we're going to talk about. Anna writes, recently commissioned an artist for a book cover, but we're having doubts about whether it's genuinely handmade or AI generated. We would love a second opinion from the community. If you're good at spotting AI art, please help us out. Drop your thoughts in the comments, attaching the artist's profile and the art I commissioned. Here we have the profile. To me, the profile is giving red flags again because we have, once again, very different art styles. Two pieces that are giving very semi-realism, dark like book cover stuff. This one looks different. The background is giving semi-realism, but the way it's colored is a lot more cartoony, a little bit more of the airbrush and cell shading going on. Again, I'm not saying artists are not allowed to have different art styles. They do. In fact, most artists do have different art styles. The one thing is they just typically, even if there's different art styles, they do kind of look like they're drawn by the same person. And the art styles to me look very different. This is super saturated in the color choice. These are a lot more muted. This is all looking kind of different. And here we have the commission piece. This is the sketch, and the sketch to me is giving a lot of red flags. First up is we have a varying level of confidence in the way things are drawn. The way her face and his face are drawn, very confident. The lines sharp, even, crispy. And then other parts of things that are drawn are very like sketchy, a lot more loose, a lot more shaky in the way things are drawn, especially the hair around the face for both her and him. The hair at the nape of his neck, at the back of his head. The clothing, a lot shakier in the way they're drawn, which is interesting. And then secondly, there's inconsistencies to me that read AI. As in, for instance, he's wearing overalls and overalls have two straps. So where is the right strap? There is the buckle and there's half the strap and the other half is gone. But the strap reappears at his shoulder. So there's a big gap that's not there. What is happening? Why does it look so different? Why is there such a big gap? This brings up the question, would a human draw this? Would a human draw not the strap, but instead like stripes for the clothing? That's weird. The truth is stranger than fiction, but this is something that you would be pretty hard pressed to find a human draw. The second thing that I find very odd is that he has his hand around her waist, and she's wearing a very flowy, very strappy dress that's kind of like flowing out in the wind. He, for some reason, has a chunk of her dress wedged between his ring finger and his pinky. That's odd to me, because why is that happening? Why is that wedge between the pinky and the finger here? And then we have other details kind of drawn in that are a lot less clear, a lot more kind of like shaky the way they're drawn. And then we have this dude at the corner, the little mermaid. Hey, I'm not trying to shade the way the mermaid looks, but I'm just trying to point out the mermaid anatomically is quite wrong. Face-wise, arm-wise, whatever. It's fine. It's fine to have bad anatomy. I'm just pointing out the fact the anatomy for the mermaid is really off, but the anatomy for this couple is pretty spot on. The face shape, the side profile, the eyes, you know, the shape of his arm, the shape of her arm, all of that looks really good. So if this is allegedly your anatomy level, why does the mermaid have such wonky anatomy compared to these guys? I'm just a little curious about that. And then also, more AI looking aspects are the bubbles in her hair. She has little like pearls in her hair, dots in her hair. What are the shapes? Why are they all like oblong looking? And also, not to mention her fingers. Her fingernails look really wonky. They don't look like fingernails on fingers. They look like stubs for fingers and that they're wearing little hats. And real quick, if you want to look for some beautiful artwork, well, look no further than Draw Market. There's over 300,000 talented artists on this platform, and best of all, there is no AI. So if you want to give it a try yourself and sell some artwork, or purchase some commissions for yourself, give Draw Market a try, and you can check it out here or in the link below. So thank you, Draw Market, for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to it. So let's see what some commenters had to say. Somebody, the top comment says, honest question, what made you choose this artist? And Anna writes, I'm too soft. She approached me on Instagram. She told me she was having trouble with her original account and started a new one. I'm new to using an independent digital artist and fell right in, not knowing what AI art looks like. She was pleasant and nice. A genuine mistake on my part, but I won't be fooled again. I also want to add, I don't want to blame Anna at all. Don't blame Anna. The worst part that makes me so frustrated in situations like these is it's always the kind-hearted people that get scammed. Our artist DM them was like, hey, I'm having a really hard time. You know, I've lost access to my account. I need a commission, etc. And it's always the kind-hearted people that are like, oh, I'll give you a chance, right? And then the scammer is like, got you hook, line, and sinker. Somebody who isn't as nice would just be like, fuck off, you know, which is totally valid to do if a scammer's trying to scam you. But it's always the very kind people that end up falling for it because they're like, oh, I want to help you out. Yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. It sucks to see. I forgot to mention, by the way, but one other thing that's very odd is the fact that text is written on the image itself. Typically with book covers, the text or the typography is added afterwards. It's not really baked into the drawing itself. Not impossible. There are some illustrations that will do that. It's not very common. But again, one other thing I forgot to point out too is that look at how sharp and crisp a lot of the text is compared to like the shakiness of other lines. Like the E has like a little tail coming out of it and it's very shaky, very wobbly, and it's not even at all. But the face is very even. To me, this is giving traced over AI. Another user says, artist and art teacher here. So one big red flag to look out for is AI tends to use way more lines than necessary. For example, the shirt or the hair. Also, they have no variation in line thickness. They essentially have a coloring book look to them. One thing to do to avoid things like this is always ask that they use a canvas that is 300 dpi and 3000 pixels or larger. AI cannot go larger than 2048 and has to have a DPI of 72 or 90. Another person says, oh my god, the same artist was in my server and I banned them. And they proceeded to argue and beg me in DMs. This is definitely AI. Another person says, this E makes me believe AI is involved. This has a Flourish baseline in addition to a traditional baseline. An illustrator or designer doing that with typography is suspect, especially if they're tracing it. And they screenshotted the E with the tail. So yeah, this definitely looks traced, likely off of AI. Next up, we have this post by user Laura Victoria Books, writing Art Thief on Instagram. I've worked with Daily Pixie Life for a year now and know her art and characters. And this Julia World has stolen Pixie's work. This is the artist in question, and this is Pixie's artwork, where Julia is posting this writing, here's another commission done for my beloved client. I hope you'll like my work. It required a lot of effort and time to design. And in the comments, you can see Pixie say, hey, this is my original artwork that I made, and this is stolen. Let's take a peep at Julia's page. And again, don't send hate or bully, but definitely these are some red flags to look out for. Red flag number 1, when it looks like the art piece was made by so many different people. This is the AI anime style. This is semi-realism. This is a different art style entirely. And this is also a different art style. And we're back at the semi-realism. And we have esports logos. Come on. This is so vastly different artworks. None of these are done by the same person, okay? So that on its own is a huge red flag. Like the massive inconsistencies here. I feel bad for this person. They probably just got scammed and they didn't know it's AI generated, but be aware of that. This person's account has all the hallmarks of a scammer. Another user. This is posted by Bookish Scammers Referral. User find me with Aline. Offense fully just AI. See below for typical AI nonsense and funny attempt to justify themselves with a traced sketch. So this is their Instagram. Here are examples of their artwork. A lot of their artwork is this black and white tarot style drawings, and some of their art pieces have a lot of red flags in them, okay? First off, this Wheel of Fortune tarot card, there is what looks like a clock face and Roman numerals behind them. The number 3 is repeated twice, once at the 3 and once at the 8 o'clock mark. And in the edit, they add, oh, I actually forgot to change it, you know? And maybe it's human error and maybe they forgot to change it. We also have this, the Death. This character is holding a scythe. And if you look at the fine detail of the enamel or like the engravings on the scythe, nothing really makes sense. These are giving really artifacts because we have diamonds melting into other diamonds. And again, when you ask yourself the question, would a human draw a bunch of diamonds melting into each other for the staff or the handle of it? I would argue they would not. Not to mention we have like clumping happening with the chain on the neck. Next up, this tarot card, all of the chains are once again exhibiting artifact behavior. They're all melting into each other and clumping. If you look closely, it doesn't make very much sense as to the way they're behaving. They're not chains interlinking into each other. They're just kind of like piled together. Here we have a knight wearing some armor. And if you take a look, there's some oddities happening. A big oddity is at the neckline of the chest plate. On the right-hand side, we have it done in their art style. On the left-hand side, it for some reason looks super bright, super shiny, and in a completely different art style than the rest of the piece. Interesting. And pretty damning, this art piece was on their page and it's now deleted. You can see their watermark, Find Me with Aline, on it. This most definitely is AI generated. And they have a fake sketch. Here you can see they have this piece. This is their sketch in quotes. This is their final product. Besides the fact they've already posted extremely obvious looking AI generated work, this is just a trace version of that. Next up, we have this post where OP Aisha Voya writes, another author pretending to not be using AI for their artwork. She did a dirty delete after I called her out. effing gross. So this author writes, people in the author community, quote, I use AI to generate my character art, end quote. Meanwhile, me, who still can't draw hands and is using the same manga reference lines I learned in middle school, still unable to draw men and still without a drawing tablet. So I'm literally using pen up on my phone, trying to draw my main male character, teaching his daughter how to play the guitar. This is the drawing. Now, pen up is a phone app to draw, right? And to me, this art piece, again, has a lot of inconsistencies. One, the face of the girl, the daughter, I'm assuming, versus him, very, 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 very different. She's got this like Disney Pixar face and he's got the like hot anime man face. But beyond that, to me, there's a big discrepancy in the line quality versus the composition and anatomy, okay? When you improve as an artist, you improve everything together. So your anatomy skills, your lining skills, your rendering skills, they all improve together. And one might lag behind. Maybe you're better at anatomy than you are at line work. Maybe your line work is better than your rendering. But they typically all improve together. To me, the line work looks really shaky. I'm not even saying this because they draw on their phone. There's plenty of freaking IBIS Paint phone users that drop the most bomb-looking art piece you've ever seen in your entire life, all done with their phone zoomed hella in, okay? Phone, it's not on its own, to me, an explanation for the way the line art looks like this, because I know there's people who can do bomb-looking line art on their phone, okay? But the line art, to me, looks really shaky. It's all done with one line weight. Some artists do like to draw all with one line weight. For the art style this artist is going for, it's not particularly common. A lot of people would typically vary the line weights for finer details like clothing wrinkles, zippers, etc. And they keep the thicker line weight to outline more key details like the face shape, the shape of the hair, maybe the guitar. So that on its own is kind of telling me maybe the artist's skill isn't as far ahead as they're trying to showcase. But the composition and anatomy skill level is really high. This is a pretty complex pose to draw. The daughter's kind of sitting in between his legs. She's got her arms on the guitar and he's trying to show her how to play the guitar. It's a complicated pose, so for the most part, there's like no anatomy mistakes, very minimal maybe. But the line work to me doesn't match it at all. And to me, the final nail in the coffin is the fact the daughter doesn't have another arm. She's only got one arm. She's got her right arm right here. Left arm is gone. It went behind the part with the strings that you hold and it's gone. That's something that AI tends to do. Now, can humans make mistakes? Sure, humans make mistakes all the time. And you might be like, maybe she forgot to draw the arm, but like she drew the circle for the arm. You can see very faintly in a mint green, there's the circle drawn in for this shoulder. They're doing the circle blocking, like the shape blocking. So where's the rest of the arm? You knew you had to draw an arm. This indicates and you knew that. Another thing is when you look and you look closely and they're doing shape blocking, but the shape blocking doesn't make sense. Again, they're drawing a circle for the head. If you see, it's really faint. Beneath the circle for the shoulder is another bigger circle. What is that circle for? He's also got circles for every single one of his knuckles, except they don't really line up with the knuckles of his fingers. Not saying you can't do that. To me, when the shape blocking kind of looks like this indicates to me that maybe your art is more beginner, more intermediate, which is totally fine and valid. But again, I see what I see, and I'm seeing an anatomy and composition level that is much more advanced, and it's not matching the rest of the context clues. So OP commented, those manga reference circles don't even line up. This looks traced. And the artist says, I erase and add things. I thought everyone did that. And she writes, you realize that this is way worse than just admitting to using AI, right? You're tracing and doing a terrible job. The top comment says, the kid is missing a whole damn arm, people. It's AI. Another user writes, I'm pretty sure they don't even know what those circles and lines are. Another user writes, she posted her real art for a defense. It's nowhere near the same level, which wouldn't be a problem if she wasn't lying. OP responds, well, now I wish I wasn't blocked so I can see that. And this is the traditional art of theirs. I'm not trying to say this to make fun of them, right? Because human art is beautiful, as long as you're not trying to scam people. Human art is beautiful. This is a cute piece. This reminds me of Silas. Here we have another drawing in pencil, painted different shapes of dye. Here we have another painting. Here we have a half-finished piece. Is this Sleep Token? Here we have a marker drawing of Naruto on a whiteboard. Here we have another art piece. Oh, Apothecary Diaries. Shoes. Looking at these, right? Of course she can draw. She can draw. We have a lot of examples here, right? Cute. I don't think she drew this without some sort of tracing involved. Because first off, again, we see really no examples of artwork from this person in this art style. But secondly, like this person does have some anatomy issues, which is fine. Here, the hands are a little bit too small. The feet are also a little bit too small. You know, like a little bit of anatomy issue, which is again totally fine. It's totally valid. I'm not saying this to try to dog on people who suck at anatomy. My anatomy is bad, okay? Anatomy is hard. I'm just saying that this is her true art level, which is completely fine and valid, but that this is exhibiting a higher level than what she's at, which would then indicate in order to get here, you had to trace. And finally, we have a post writing, author aware, another fake artist. Be aware this account is charging authors for personalized bookish illustrations while claiming they start from a manual sketch. They are AI generated. Look closely at the blatant errors, fingers melting directly into the coffee mug handle, a deformed hand structure under the chin, and jewelry clipping straight through the skin of the ear. This is their page, Cozy Ink. Don't say, hey, again, don't bully anybody, right? Don't be weird. Again, I'm getting red flags by looking at their page because a lot of their art looks like they're drawn by different people. This looks like it's drawn by somebody else. These two look like they're drawn by the same person. These all look like they're drawn by one person. Maybe these ones. All of these look like they're drawn by another person. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different pieces, so many different styles. This one uses no line art for the hair. This one has line art for the hair. This one is much more like cartoonish, and so is this one. But then this one is a really flat colored art piece. And this one is giving hot, sexy, beautiful female lead in a book. They all look like they're drawn by different people. Now let's look at some inconsistencies. Oh boy. Here we have a finger going straight through the handle of a coffee mug. Do humans make mistakes when they draw? Yeah. Is this a very common mistake humans make? Not really. Funny looking fingers by the face. But once again, the hair is really odd. Like, we have hair going through the eye, and then there's like strands coming out from behind the eye. Okay, because that's how hair works. That's this piece, by the way. To me, the hair is giving AI generated. Like, what is all this stuff stuck between the bun and the rest of the head? Here, we have earrings that are maybe looping into other earrings. They kind of look like they're chaining together. That's this piece. I'm curious as to what's happening here between the intersection of this strand of this finger and this part of her face. There's like a bunch of pink happening here. But yeah, these are the earrings, so you can see them a little bit more zoomed out. We have drawings like this, where it's a different style, much more cartoony. She is holding a pen to her lips, kind of looking off in the distance. One thing that AI tends to do as well is they don't make characters look at things they're supposed to be looking at. You know, like she's holding a notebook and maybe she's thinking longingly. It would kind of make sense if she also looked at the notebook, which she isn't, but maybe we could argue she's thinking longingly. The notebook has a bunch of ferns on it. Why do every single fern look different? This fern looks different from this fern. One brown fern, some brown leaves. This fern is merging into the fern beneath it. Like, all of that to me is giving suspicious. Some more oddities. In this art piece, in this style, we have a stack of books and another stack of books on it and a mug on the books. But what I'm looking at is this book. Because what is this? These are supposed to be the pages of the book, right? Because the book is closed. But somehow there's like stripes on only the bottom end of the pages. These are not sprayed edges. This looks like AI was trying to generate a book spine and then turned it into book pages while it was making it into a book spine. That's just odd. Not to mention these random like sticks intersecting the lights hanging above her, where the lights don't even go all the way to the end. And a comment just took a picture of one of the drawings of the chibis with like a really big head. Writing this picture cracks me up. So after seeing all of these, what are your thoughts, man? I feel like they're more and more cropping up every day. So just stay vigilant and make sure you protect your wallet, okay? Because like some of these people, they get you. They do get you. And again, don't send hate, don't bully any of these people, okay? This is just for awareness so that you don't get scammed. Keep your wallet close to you, okay? And with that, if you like this video, I appreciate it. If you like and subscribe, don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. Well, we're getting to 100K on Instagram. We're at 5.5K away, so slowly trudging up there. And yeah, check me out on stream. I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays and Saturdays at 6 p.m. or Thursdays at 7:30, where I do a podcast with my friend. So I hope to catch y'all there or in another video. Peace.